flowers in the vase that you bought today.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI 99.9 on the FM dial, 1380 on the AM dial. And you can also catch us streaming on WNRI.com. What's great about that is you don't have to be in the northern Rhode Island and southern Massachusetts area. You can be anywhere on this planet and hear WNRI. That's WNRI.com. Streaming, it's free, doesn't cost anything, so you can check us out. We are here every Tuesday evening from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. and we talk about real estate. And the show is rebroadcast Saturday afternoons at 1 p.m., so you could always catch it then if you do miss it. A little about me. I work with buyers and sellers of residential and commercial real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts primarily. And I have a network of partners that I refer business to in other states and other countries around the world through a network that I've developed over the years. I work at a company called Remax Preferred. We're in North Providence. We have 3 offices, one in Cumberland, one in North Providence, and one in Smithfield. And we, work with buyers and sellers and aim to provide a lot of value to every real estate transaction. So the real estate market, we're in a situation that it has been obviously very strong for the past several years, and we've had more buyers than sellers, so that's really supported home prices and pushed them up in many instances. And the most recent data that came out from the Rhode Island Association of Realtors is home prices are up about 9.1% year over year. So the month of April 25 compared to April 24, we're a little over 9% higher than we were back then. And the median price this April was $480,000. So that's, as I said, about 9% higher than last year. But home sales are down and pendings are down. We have about a little bit less than a 2-month supply of homes for the buyers to buy, which, if you haven't listened to the show before, a balanced market is 6 months. So we are less than a third of the way to a balanced market. So what does that mean? It's still a seller's market. Okay, and does that mean it's a great time for you as a property owner to sell your home? Possibly. But I try to be honest, and if nothing else, there are some other factors that need to be calculated in. If you're going to be selling your house, if you have a mortgage, what interest rate do you have? Do you need to buy another house? Do you need to get another mortgage to buy another house? Those are things which would be factored in. And if you have questions about those, you can certainly reach out to me outside of the show, 401-409-5030. Again, 401-409-5030. And I can give you some tools that will help you make a decision as to whether it makes sense for you to put your house on the market and buy something else, or move in with family, whatever the situation may be. Or maybe you're inheriting a home, or you just have that property that you're tired of taking care of. It's a rental property or a second home. We can talk about what would be the best option for you on that regard. Those are a little bit different because you may need to consider, capital gains if it's an investment property and other things like that. And if that's the case, I'm a real estate guy. We would bring in a tax professional to talk about what those implications are if you don't have one. Okay. I want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. Of course, Vern Rainville, Public Insurance Adjuster. Vern is licensed by the state of Rhode Island to be a public insurance adjuster. So he works for you, the property owner, not the insurance company. You'll see these commercials on TV where insurance companies, they say, yes, we'll come out and we'll cut you a check the day of the event. Well, the reason they want to do that is because they don't want you to become educated and realize, oh, this isn't an $8,000 claim, it's an $18,000 claim. Vern can help you through that. And even if you had an event that was 6 months, 12 months, 18 months ago, Vern may be able to help you out with that as well. But you have to give him a call first. His number, 484-300-8495. That's 484 300-8495. Vern Rainville. He will return your call within 24 hours. And even though that doesn't seem like it's a Rhode Island phone number because it doesn't have the ubiquitous 401 in front of it, he is a Rhode Island guy. He's right here in Rhode Island, and he is very responsive to calls. Also, a big thank you to Compass Title and Escrow, Anthony Betancourt and his crew. Christine, Camille, and Kaylee do a fantastic job helping our clients with the sale and purchase of their homes. They educate them. When you go to a closing at Compass Title and Escrow, it's not an in and out 20-minute transaction because they explain everything to you. They don't just say, here, initial here, sign here, initial here, this is what this. No, they take the time. They take a breath in between everything they're explaining, so that way you understand. And if you don't, they'll go over it with you, whether you're buying or selling. And folks, even if you've sold several houses before or purchased several houses before, it's probably different in 2025 than it was. Well, it definitely was in 2016, 2010, 2005, etc. So it's worth working with people that will answer your questions and explain everything to you. And I'm big on educating my clients. That's one of the reasons why I have this show, to educate the consumer. And I try to provide answers to questions that my clients don't know to ask. And Compass Title and Escrow does the same thing. Okay? And we also want to thank G Metz Moving and Storage. Check them out at gmetzmoving.com. You can get a price for a move or schedule a move at their website. And whether that move is moving a piece of furniture from one room to another room, taking everything out of the house so you can have work done in the house, or moving from Woonsocket to Westerly or Rhode Island to Georgia, G Metz Moving and Storage can help you out. But you have to just go to their website and answer the questions honestly, truthfully, and they'll give you an accurate quote for your move. That's gmetzmoving.com. G as in George, M as in Michael, E as in Edward, T as in Tom, Z as in Zebra, moving.com. So the real estate market, rates they're still elevated, folks, compared to what we've been used to. But that keeps it further and further in the rearview mirror. So, people that have rates that are in the high 2s and 3s and 4s, that's becoming more and more of a thing in the distant past, because we've been experiencing these air quotes higher interest rates, mortgage interest rates, for several years now. And in all honesty, I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I wouldn't be selling real estate. But I don't see rates going into the low 5s or mid 5s. I think if we're lucky, we'll hit the high 5. But we're probably going to bounce around in the 6s for a while. We're in the high 6s now. Maybe we'll go to the low 6s. This is for a 30-year fixed rate. The FHA and VA rates are typically lower than that. And these are the prime rates, folks. So if you're buying an owner-occupied single-family home, you're going to live in it. Okay, it's a single family. So if it's a condo, it's going to be a higher rate. If it's a multifamily, it's going to be a higher rate. If it's a vacation home or an investment property, it's going to be a higher rate. If you don't have really good credit, you're going to get a higher rate. So there are a lot of different things that can impact it, but these are the rates that we've been getting from Mortgage News Daily. So you can have a conversation with any one of our lenders that we would refer you to, and you may get a rate better than that, or maybe not better than that, depending on the situation. I stay in my lane when it comes to real estate transactions. I'm the real estate guy, and I'm good at evaluating real estate and negotiating real estate for my clients. And that's what I do. I don't talk about home inspections. I don't talk about mortgage interest rates or points or anything like that. I let the professionals in those arenas have that conversation with my clients. Okay, so that's kind of where we are with the real estate market. The prices have still been going up. Sales are down. The number of homes sold in Rhode Island, the number of pending homes is down, but it's still a vibrant market. It's still a vibrant market. I want to point out, because I've said prices aren't going to be coming down, and people may say, oh my goodness, how are we going to be able to ever afford these houses? Well, folks, we're going to earn our way into it, and we've already seen in 1 month, past month, we've seen an increase in wages in this country, and I think that's after 1 month. As we start to see increases in wages, it will be easier for people to afford a home. So people, like right now, you have to have if you're not making $80,000 or $90,000 a year, it's going to be tough to find a median home. People are going to start to, if it's with second jobs, earning more money at their existing job. The consumer at large is going to start earning more wages, which will make it easier to buy these homes, okay? Because home ownership is the best way to create personal wealth, family wealth. Homeowners have a net worth that's anywhere from 35 to 50 times greater than renters, okay? And there are a number of reasons why that's the case, and it's always been the case. And again, if you have questions on that, we can talk about it off air, 401-409-5030. Me, your humble host, Joe Luca, Luca, Realtor at Remax Preferred. If you want to call in during the show, the number is 401-769-0600. I've been doing this show for 12 years, and I still have to look at the phone number when I say that, so I don't say the wrong number. It's 401-769-0600 if you want to give us a call. Now, that being said, if you're watching the video version of this, you're probably tired of looking at my radio face. We have a very special guest this week, and Claudia Rocha from Navigant Bank, and we are going to be talking about not just Navigant Bank. We're going to be talking about something that actually is more encompassing than that. The fundraiser, Rotary Club. I want to introduce Claudia. Claudia, please say hello to our listeners and viewers.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, Navigant, how you got involved with Rotary, and take it from there.
Sure, thank you. I am currently a commercial lender with Navigant Credit Union, so thank you for the real estate update. That's always helpful on my end too, even though I'm on the commercial side. Mm-hmm. But I guess I moonlight as the current president of the Cumberland Lincoln Rotary Club. We are celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. So we have a special fundraiser that we're trying to kick off. Well, it's kicked off. We're on the rounding the end here. We're trying to get some extra oomph going for it.
And so tell us a little bit about what is what's the event like, the actual fundraiser, and then we can talk a little bit about maybe who is going to be the beneficiary of that.
So the Rotary has historically supported local animal shelters, more pet driven. So coming up on our 50th anniversary, we wanted to do something a little bit more meaningful, reach out and just really let people know that we're here and that we look to make an impact in our community. And we thought the best way to do that was to support our kids.
Right.
So between Cumberland and Lincoln, there were 3 middle schools, and we really decided, this is kind of an age group that I don't want to say gets forgotten, but there's a lot going on once you hit those preteen years, right?
Sure.
And they're especially going into summer break. It's an exciting time for everyone. But these kids are probably old enough to stay home. They got their phone. They're probably not going to camps. Their parents probably aren't home. They're kind of left to their own defenses. And we got to talking to some of the teachers and counselors in the area, and they're like, there's a lot of kids who just don't have anything to look forward to coming to summer. And there's such a big emphasis on summer break and the countdown to the end of the school year. But then there's these kids who are just kind of going to go home, and that's kind of it. There's no routine. There's nothing to look forward to. So we, as the Cumberland Lincoln Rotarians, got together and said, let's do something to support these kids. So there are about 200 students between 6th and 7th grade who were kind of identified from the schools and said, you know what, these kids, we need something to brighten up their day.
Sure.
So we are trying to put together, so the fundraiser, we're trying to put together these backpacks that will include some summer fun items. So we have sporting goods, we have card games, we have arts and crafts stuff in it, Rubik's Cubes, jump ropes, things like that that'll get them engaged. Some quality screen-free time was really the key thing that we wanted to focus on, and hopefully get them outdoors and just kind of, maybe reach out to friends and see if they can get someone to come together to play some wiffle ball or to throw a football around, trying to get them engaged and something to look forward to over that summer break.
So, you guys have been working on this for a while. What is the date of the fundraiser?
So there isn't a hard date, which is,
Okay.
I want to say that. We are really looking to accept sponsorships throughout the end of this week.
Mm-hmm.
So with the sponsorships, we are having backpacks made for these students, and the logos of our sponsors are going to be put on these backpacks.
Oh, okay,
so
great.
Hoping by the end of this week, early next week, we get all our sponsors, we get the logos, backpacks can be created, and at that point, we'll finalize all the purchases of the toys so we can get the backpacks filled. Obviously, distribution will happen before the end of the school year. So fluid dates, I would say, but we're really trying to make a push through the end of this week into next week to get sponsors and our items purchased.
Okay. And so you said there's about 200, 250 kids?
So we're estimating about 200 kids. So
Yep.
right now we're purchasing items for 200 kids between the two towns.
Yep. And so are there certain types of sponsors that, you're looking for, or you're targeting, like retail stores, doctor's offices, insurance companies, real estate companies? I mean, what type of sponsors make sense for this type of a thing?
We were obviously targeting local businesses throughout Cumberland, Lincoln. Anyone, I kind of say this, anyone who has a heart for helping out a kid. So
Sure.
I feel like, that gives everyone the warm and fuzzy. So we did reach out to local businesses in the area. And the second thing that we did is we created an Amazon wish list. So we have a lot of people who are just like, I don't have $500 to offer you, or $250, but I have $20.
Yeah.
Can I help you with $20?
Oh, that's fantastic.
So instead of, cutting me a check or handing me a $20 bill, you can go right on our Amazon wish list and just purchase something off of there, and it gets shipped right to us. So we found that was a good way of kind of appealing to a larger target area.
Yeah.
Because someone can just go on and, it's $5, and no one has to know that maybe you only gave $5, or maybe that's all you could do. Or we had someone who, purchased 14 wiffle ball bats.
Right.
So we have those, that came to my house. So it was a good way to get the outreach out there. So
Sure.
you could purchase directly, or you could sponsor, and then we'll use those funds to go and purchase the remaining items.
Excellent. So, wow, that's really cool. So if somebody wanted to do that, how do they get to that? They go on Amazon.com, and then how do they find your page?
So there is a Step into Summer gift registry, essentially. So I think I will say I've blasted this on our social media. So if you're on our Facebook page, Cumberland Lincoln Rotary Club,
okay.
We have a LinkedIn page as well, Cumberland Lincoln Rotary Club. I've been trying to link it like crazy on there.
Yep.
So we do have, a link to the URL that'll take you right to the registry. Obviously, if you want to spend the time searching on Amazon. But I highly recommend people checking out our Facebook page or social media to find that link.
Cumberland Lincoln Rotary
Club.
Okay.
Yes. So there's a link that'll take you right to that site. Same as any other Amazon purchase. Add to cart, gets shipped to our address. Easy peasy.
Excellent. So that's good. So now, for the people who don't know what Rotary is, of course, it's a group. You guys meet, every month?
So we meet twice a month, usually the first and third Mondays of the month at Amica in Lincoln.
Okay.
We have a lunchtime meeting on Monday, so we meet typically around noon, 12:15 for an hour.
Yep.
We really just try to get together. We get outreach for people in our community, within our towns, kind of even, Northern Rhode Island, who reach out to us, and they're holding fundraisers, or they're trying to support a cause, and they'll reach out to us for our support. We work a lot with the Northern Rhode Island Food Pantry. We have a scholarship that goes out to the Helping Hands Club at the Cumberland High School, so they're a service-oriented group. So we try to do outreach through that. But I think in general, a lot of people don't know about us, even though we've been around now for 50 years.
Right.
I think they've maybe heard of Rotary clubs, maybe seen the wheel symbol driving through town and not really know what it is. And essentially what I like to say is that we are a community service organization. We meet to learn about what is out in our community that we can go support, or, via by volunteering or financially.
Now, about how many members does the Cumberland Lincoln Rotary Club have?
So we have 14 current members. We'd love to have more.
Okay, so
I will say that.
Excellent. So, if someone wanted, now, do you have, I used to be a member of BNI, and they had one person per field. Does Rotary have some limitations like that, or can you have multiple?
It is not industry specific.
Oh, okay.
So that is the nice thing about that. This is purely a service organization. We do find, especially for the lunchtime meetings, that we have a lot of business owners or people with it, businesses who have the flexibility to kind of pop out for an hour for lunch and join us, and then, selfishly, if they can go back to their office and be like, hey, we're supporting this fundraiser, if you could sponsor the event, we're not going to turn that down. But it's really just people coming out from the goodness of their hearts who want to give back to the community. That's
fantastic. And it's funny because I would have thought that Cumberland Lincoln would have had more members of than that. So
historically, it was a much larger club. I will say that after COVID and during COVID, it really hurt us. We just had a lot of members who decided that they were going to retire or take a step back. We weren't meeting in person, and then we went to Zoom, and it just kind of came the thing. It was like, okay, I don't need to come to this meeting. If you need me, call me, but I don't have to come on Mondays anymore and support you. And just it kind of died away a little bit, which is unfortunate.
As we were talking before the show, and I shared a little bit with you how I've been involved with leadership of the different board and the state and national association of realtors, and we had something similar. So you're on a committee for the Association of Realtors, and we started having Zoom meetings, and for meetings, like kind of business meetings, I think it does make a lot of sense, because if you're going to have like a 1 hour meeting, and I know this is Rhode Island and my friends in other big states are going to complain, but I think you have to drive, an hour, 45 minutes to go to a 1 hour meeting. That's 2 hours to go to a 1 hour meeting. So we said, well, why don't we keep the meetings as Zoom? Occasionally we'll have in-person meetings, but when we have like events, obviously during COVID we couldn't have in-person events, and we probably didn't start having them till like maybe a good year to year and a half after, air quotes, COVID, that we started meeting in person again. And my God, everybody was like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to see people, to see you in person, because it was just, we could still do business. We were fortunate, that we were allowed to continue doing business, but you couldn't have like an event, where you could have like 20, 30, 40 people, 50 people together, hanging out, socializing, and it was just so nice when we were able to start doing that again. But I have to say,
the freshness wore off on that?
Well, no. I think, we still like to do that, but like the meetings, the Zoom portion, that still, it makes it a lot easier to have a business meeting. So, I mean, especially if you're, I'm on lots of different committees for the board of directors, for the Rhode Island Association of Realtors, for National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. So I love it. But if something could be done with a Zoom meeting, great, let's just do that. I mean, sometimes if we're going to have, like, we call them call-a-thons, we're going to get together and do that all in one spot because there's a certain kind of energy.
Right.
But I feel your pain, and then also have seen the benefit on both of just getting back together in person. Because there's a certain amount of, I think we're social creatures, social beings, and there's a lot that happens when you're just sitting across from someone having a conversation while you're having a coffee or lunch or whatever it is, as opposed to just seeing them on a little screen in the corner of your computer.
Right.
And
that's how you probably learn about things too. I mean, you sit down and you have a coffee with someone, like, oh, I'm involved in this. I see it through the moms of my kids' friends, right? So, we'll get together, the kids are having a play date, we're chatting, they're like, oh, I'm involved in Girl Scouts and we're doing this community event. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that we were doing that.
Right.
Is that something that, we can help with, the Rotary can help with? So, those little offhanded conversations really kind of help us find out what's going on. And I guess that's what I'm trying to put out there, is that there's a lot that's still going on between Cumberland and Lincoln.
Yeah.
And we'd love to know about it. We can help promote it. Maybe we can join in. It's out there, and I want people to know that we're here to help.
Yeah. That's great. I've heard about, and I forgive me, I don't remember the numbers, but I know, like, globally, like, Rotary is just like a really big fundraising organization. It's very, philanthropic. I mean, you guys just do tremendous work.
Yes. I don't have the numbers to quote either, but yes, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. And I remember when I learned about it, because again, you go through life and you just see, like, the sign, for Rotary, and it's like, oh, okay, it's like the Lions Club, and then when you learn about it, it's like, oh, that's why those signs are everywhere, because they really do serve a purpose, and they, help a lot of people. And folks, that's what it's about. I mean, we're here on this planet, and we get caught up in our lives and working and taking care of our families and everything. But you really need to try and give back, help folks that are less fortunate. And it's not always like a heavy lift, a big give, because sometimes just little things can help out. And then maybe you can just donate your time to help when there are events, fundraising events. Things need to be set up. Things need to be cleaned up. Sometimes, having people available to do that, is beneficial as well. So if you have any questions about the Cumberland Lincoln Rotary, please go to their webpage, to their Facebook page or their Instagram page, and just check them out. And you can get a feel for what they do. And if you want to support this great event that they're having with the backpacks for the students, that would be great too. Now, you mentioned something else that kind of got my attention too. You said you do fundraisers for with pets and things like that. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I've been part of Rotary now for 6 years. And when I joined, our biggest fundraiser was pet driven. So everyone loves their pets.
Yep.
We would hold a pet walk, usually at the monastery in Cumberland, and we'd have sponsors, and people would come and buy tickets to be able to walk their pets, and that was our biggest fundraiser. And obviously, with the fundraiser, we could turn around and do our scholarships and support other community organizations. And then we found over the last few, again, probably COVID, but it was difficult, and everyone still loves their pets, but the passion wasn't there for this event, and it was dying down. And we were partnering with the animal shelter. We did a couple things for a hotel for homeless dogs in the area, which was great.
Oh, wow.
But it wasn't promoting us.
Yeah.
It wasn't showing what capabilities Rotary had, and it was the catch-22 of we weren't fundraising enough to be able to do a lot.
Okay. Yep.
So with this 50th anniversary celebration, we really we sat down, we're like, we need to let people know that we're here. We want to be a part of their community. We need them to help us, kind of thing. So I'm hoping that, reaching out and helping these middle school students in our towns, that we're appealing to a larger demographic, I guess, essentially. Like, we're here, we want to help these kids, we help these kids, they know that someone cares about them, their parents know that we're here, they want to live and support these communities, and we hope it's kind of, it's that circle of life kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So now, so if you have 200 kids, you've got to do the backpacks, fill the backpacks, what's like the total number, like a dollar amount that, if you could say, this would be perfect if we could raise this much money, is there?
We were hoping essentially we were kind of breaking it down to $50 a bag.
Yep.
I can't say that we'll get there. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
We're not going to get there, but I still, the bags are still going to have definitely one kind of sporting good item.
Yep.
Coloring book, colored pencils, a game, some kind of other fun, doodad, Rubik's Cube, jump rope, something like that. So that I still think the bags will have enough to show that someone was thinking of these kids when they get it.
Yep.
I had very lofty goals, but
it's
our first time.
No,
so I'm trying to remember that.
That's the way, what's the saying, shoot for the stars, and if you miss,
we're maybe not going to get that star, but I think we're still going to land in a really good place, and I'm still really proud of the efforts that we've made in putting this together.
Yeah, and that's the thing I always, try to talk about too. It's like, you're not going to get all the success the first time or the second time. But if you're moving the ball down the field, to use that sports, metaphor, you're making progress. Just keep a little bit at a time, and after 3, 4, 5 years, wow, we've come quite a ways. But it takes time.
It takes time. We've, I feel like we're always a little late to the game in what we want to do.
Yeah.
There's 14 of us, and a handful that are really truly active in the club. So, and we all have our full-time jobs and families. So we're trying to put this together, and we probably should have had a little bit more lead time, but I think we're pulling it off. And like I said, at the end of the day, there's still going to be 200 students who are going to get these bags. They're going to still be filled with something fun.
Right.
And that's really the goal.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, maybe you can get, like, the Valley Breeze to come by and, give you some free exposure. And
so we did have a very nice article in the Valley Breeze.
Yep.
Talked about our 50th anniversary and this fundraiser, so I'm very grateful to them for that.
Yep.
And, it's part of just spreading the word.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Folks, you're listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI. I am Joe. I am your host every Tuesday evening from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. right here on WNRI, 99.9 on the FM dial, 1380 on the AM dial. And I want to do a quick shout out to thank our sponsors, Compass Title and Escrow. They are the go-to closing attorneys for our buyers and sellers of residential and commercial real estate. Anthony Betancourt and his crew do a very good job educating our clients and helping them with their transactions. We also have G Metz Moving and Storage, gmetzmoving.com, the best move you'll ever make. They've moved me, my family, my friends, my colleagues. They do an excellent job. They've moved my parents, and they have a Steinway grand piano that's a player piano. It weighs like 1,500 pounds. They moved it down here from New Hampshire, and they moved it from one place to another place, so they've got a lot of experience working with antique things as well. That's gmetzmoving.com. Please check them out. And, whatever it is, if you're moving just one piece of furniture, if you're moving an office, if you're moving a whole household, or just you need stuff taken out of the house for a period of time, and if you are moving, a lot of times people today in real estate, people are selling one house and buying another house. And sometimes there's a little bit of a gap. Maybe the people whose house you're buying, they can't get out in time. So you're stuck in a lurch. What are you going to do? The stuff is on the truck. GMET's Moving and Storage, they have storage facilities. So they can store your belongings, either leave it on the truck for a day or two, or store it in one of their facilities. It's secured. It's, sheltered. So if it's longer than that, you don't have to worry about your belongings. But the first thing you have to do is go to their website, gmetzmoving.com, and check them out. And then, of course, Vern Rainville, licensed by the state of Rhode Island to be a public insurance adjuster. Vern has a background in construction, so he knows what potential damages could be, and he knows where to look for them when you have a claim. So he works for you, the homeowner, not the insurance company. So you can give him a call, 484-300-8495. Again, that's 484-300-8495. Vern will get back to you within 24 hours. Even if your claim or potential claim was 6 months ago or a year ago, Vern can help you out. He'll let you know what the deal is, and he can tell you. You call him up and say, "Hey, Vern, this happened. This is my policy," and he'll let you know right up front. Like, you know what? I don't think that's going to be covered by your insurance because of A, B, and C. Or he'll say, "Yeah, I think that might be worth it. Let's make an appointment so I can come by and take a look." Vern is very good at that. He knows. He's been in the business a long time, and it's worth giving him a call. 484-300-8495. Vern Rainville, Public Insurance Adjuster. So, folks, if you have any questions about the fundraiser for Cumberland Lincoln Rotary, we have Claudia Rocha from Navigant Credit Union here tonight. We're talking about that. You can give us a call here on air, 401-769-0600, or you can call me after the show, 401-409-5030. That's my business line. You can text me at that number too. But, Claudia is here. We're talking about this. They've got a great fundraiser to help some students with backpacks and a lot of, everything from coloring books to pens, paper, toys, things like that, to keep them busy and occupied through the summer. So they're not at home. Mom and dad are at work, and they're at home getting bored, just sitting on, watching TV or on their digital devices. This gives them another outlet, something else to do. So what you have to do, though, is you go to their website on Facebook, Cumberland Lincoln Rotary, because there's a way for everyone to easily help out by they have an Amazon page. So you're like, jeepers, I don't have enough money to make a big donation, but I could donate $5, $10, $20. This is a great way to do it. But you've got to go to their Facebook page, Cumberland Lincoln Rotary Club,
yes,
or Instagram, same name, right? Cumberland Lincoln Rotary Club?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, excuse me. I
Yes.
said Instagram. LinkedIn.
I'm working on
Yep.
all the social media.
Okay, so, but definitely go to Facebook and check it out. And because every little bit helps, every little bit helps. It's a small group. They're trying to make a difference. They have a lot of energy and a lot of desire to make a difference. And again, a lot of these organizations, the social networking organizations, we're still recovering from COVID, okay? Because a lot of people, some people, are no longer in the same industry. Some people, their income went down, so they can't participate in these events. Cumberland Lincoln Rotary Club is making, a fantastic effort to make a difference. And we need more people and more organizations like that in Northern Rhode Island in particular to make a difference in people's lives. And excuse me, the Rotary does a fantastic job with that. I don't know if am I missing anything, Claudia? What else did I say that I should have said that I didn't say?
I think you really hit the nail on the head with the fundraiser. The Amazon wish list we found has just been a great way for people to. Obviously, we're still accepting sponsorships, so trying to get those through the end of the week. And just in general, if someone is involved in a different service organization and they want to reach out to us and see if we can maybe partner together on an event or if we can support each other, we're also here for all of that.
Yep. Excellent. So now we've been talking about the Rotary, all the good work you're doing with the Rotary, but you have a real job, a full-time job.
A real full-time job, not this one.
Right. And, and you do that every day. So you're at Navigant Credit Union, and of course, I'm a big supporter of local credit unions as a real estate guy. So tell us a little bit about Navigant, and you're on the commercial side, so we can talk a little bit about that too.
So I do the commercial real estate financing. So I work with businesses in the area and real estate investors as well.
Mm-hmm. So what type of businesses does the bank have an appetite for working with? And I'd imagine there are some you want to stay away from, but then you have some that you're sweet spot, and we like doing loans for, what would be some of those businesses?
I would say the benefit of working for a credit union is the community focus. So a lot of banks and financial institutions, they're going to shy away from, the restaurants and any kind of startups. I find that a lot of the financial institutions in the area kind of gave up on the investment real estate. So if your business wasn't occupying it, they no longer had an appetite for it because it was so prevalent the past few years that now it's kind of, some banks took a step back from that.
Yep.
Navigant is still out there. We're supporting people in our community. Honestly, throughout Rhode Island, there's a lot of multifamilies. There's a lot of apartment buildings. So those still need financing. People still have needs for that here, and we're here to support that.
Yeah. And right here in Woonsocket, I think we have more per capita, more multifamily houses than almost anywhere. And it's true, and that's a fantastic way for people. We were talking about, or I was talking about, how the price of housing has become so expensive, and a lot of people can't afford to buy a house. But a lot of people can afford to buy a multifamily house, especially when you bring family in. We're seeing a lot of that intergenerational living now. So maybe you can have 3 families in one house. Everybody pitches in. You own it together. Then after a few years, okay, maybe you go buy 3 different single-family houses, keep this as a rental property, or, figure out something else where, people move out and you hold on to it, you sell it, and then you buy something else that's bigger. So it's important to work with a lender who understands the local marketplace, okay? And then also, what's great about local banks is, you can sit down with them and look eye to eye. You sit across the desk, belly to belly. It's not some company that's, in Missouri or Michigan or someplace far away. Or even if it's like, one of the big institutional lenders, the big national banks, they may have a local branch, but after you fill out that application, you're dealing with somebody who's in Virginia or Florida or Georgia or Texas or wherever it may be. Whereas Navigant's a Rhode Island institution. Everybody that works at Navigant, they are Rhode Island people, and it also supports, we have here in Living Flesh, how it supports the local community. Okay, not only do they support it by sponsoring events themselves, but they allow their employees, their workers, to go out and get involved in these events, just like Claudia has. And I think that's very significant because not a lot of these businesses do that. They're not engaged. They don't invest time and energy in the local community.
And Navigant's a big supporter of getting us out there. That there's a page that we can go on. We can sign up to volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
They're very encouraging about that, which is great because
Yeah.
I don't think you can say that you are part of a community if you're not going to support the community. And
Right.
That's one of the things I love about Navigant.
Yeah. Now, do you work at one of the branches or do you work at the headquarters?
So funny story. I currently work at the headquarters in Smithfield, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be moving into our Providence branch in the next couple days.
Oh, wow.
So, on the
trek
move.
all the way to Providence.
So funny that you said that.
Gotta
Good timing.
pack a lunch, right?
But it's just part of really encouraging, especially on the commercial team, that,
Mm-hmm.
that we are out on the road. We are able to go out and meet with our business owners and our members of the credit union, that we're accessible, right?
Yeah.
We're not locked up in headquarters in some mystery office. We are accessible. Best part of my day is going out and meeting with people and learning about what they do.
Yep. So where is the Providence branch located?
So we are off of West River, kind of where the big post office
Mm-hmm.
is. If you're coming off of Branch Ave, there's a Stop and Shop there.
Yep.
There's a medical office building. So we're kind of in that. So there's parking.
Yep.
We're easily accessible off the highway, so we're not downtown,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice, especially for the branch.
Yeah.
I think if you're going out of your way to actually use a branch today, you want
Yeah.
to be able to go. You want to be able to park
That's a
and
super
find
convenient
someone
location, that area. Yeah. Yeah, I've sold a couple of buildings over there. There used to be old, mill buildings, and now one of them is that medical property.
Yeah.
Over there, yeah, it's a great development. And what's awesome, folks, is there's off-street parking and it's free.
Yes, absolutely.
Good highway access.
So
everything.
it's a little scary when I say Providence to people. Like, oh no, I'm like,
Right.
no, we're not downtown Providence.
Right.
You'll be able to find us.
Yeah, exactly. Easy parking, well lit, and easy highway access.
That's right.
Yep. Excellent. So now, in the few minutes we have left, we talked about the multifamily housing. You guys work with like restaurant, small business people like that. What if they're just thinking about, we've got someone they're listening here in Woonsocket, they've been a tenant for a long time, paying rent, and they want to buy their first multifamily house or maybe a 4 or 5 unit house.
Mm-hmm.
What would be some, 3 or 4 pointers that you would suggest for them?
On a multifamily, so if it is a property that is over 4 units, so 5 and above, that falls into the commercial world.
Right.
So while Navigant has a very robust residential group, those type of properties fall under commercial. There's just different requirements. Down payment is the biggest one. We typically require at least a 25% down payment on those.
Mm-hmm.
So that,
Pretty standard, yeah.
It's standard, but I get a lot of phone calls where people don't understand that. In their
Mm-hmm.
mind, it's residential, and maybe it's a 3% or a 5%.
Right.
There's lots of different programs.
Yep.
Whereas commercial, it's pretty, I don't want to say cut and dry, because we do have the ability to kind of finesse things.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, that down payment is the biggest thing, where I have to be like, this is what we have to work towards. And is that
Yeah.
something you can do? That's not going to drain you personally.
Right.
Because you still need the reserve, right? Things are
Yep.
still going to happen. A water tank is still going to go. A
Mm-hmm.
tenant's going to leave, and you're
Mm-hmm.
going to need rental income. So I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people aren't aware of, is the change in the down payment.
Yep. Now, do you guys have DSCR products?
So commercial is really driven. It's one of the things that we look for. We look for the personal strength of the person who's
Yep.
looking to purchase it, their credit and capacity, the property itself, if it's income producing, so then it falls under that DSCR, where we kind of do the debt to income of the property itself.
Right.
And then we look at the global picture.
So, folks, I didn't mean to do that. DSCR is debt service coverage ratio. So it's, a portion of the approval process is based on how the property performs. It's how it cash flows. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes, exactly.
You're the professional. I'll get back in my real estate lane.
No, if you're buying an income producing property, you want it to earn income for you.
Right.
And the ideal is that income should be able to pay the property expenses plus the mortgage with a cushion.
Mm-hmm.
And we have adjustments we make to that. There's the standard operating expenses and taxes and water, sewer, and dumpster and things like that. But then we go, right? Let's say you have a bad month, or that water tank goes, or things happen. So we build in kind of a cushion into the calculation, and then after all that, we want to make sure that everything can be serviced with the cushion at the end.
Yeah. Have you been finding that most or a lot of first-time, air quotes, investors, like let's say a 5-unit property, are they self-managing, or are more people paying for property managers?
I would say they're self-managing at that point, especially if they're new. They'll live in a unit, or maybe they used to live in that building and now they got the opportunity to buy that. I find that I've gotten a few phone calls on that.
Okay.
So kind of what you were referring to, it's there's an opportunity here, and if you can work with the seller, it's
so
it
would still be, if it's a 5-unit and it's an owner-occupied 5-unit, it's still a commercial loan.
It's still a commercial.
Okay, yeah, you can't misrepresent, because then you get into problems like.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. I'm just pointing that out because some people, they sometimes think, well, what if I say it's a 4-unit, or like some national politicians have done. You can't misrepresent the facts. It has to be.
Exactly. So if it's 5 units, regardless if you're going to occupy one of those units, it falls into the commercial world.
Very good. Very good. And then if someone wants to, they've been working in a restaurant for a long time, they've been a cook, now they want to buy a restaurant or the restaurant that they work in, what are some things, again, that you would look for as a lender? Like, in addition to having good credit, I would imagine.
Right. For situations like that, we get a little more nitty-gritty. We now have to go into business projections on those financial statements. Are you purchasing a restaurant that you have access to their financial statements? Is the seller going to provide those? Are we going to be guesstimating a lot of this? And then do you have an accountant that you can work with? You want to rely on professionals, right? I'm essentially the banker. We work with a network of professionals, with the accountants, with bookkeepers, with business projection partners that we have. The SBA has a lot of partners that we work with. So in situations like that, I would really sit down with someone and be like, all right, let's start at the beginning. And what do you know about this? How much information do you have? How much information are we projecting? And we kind of come up with a business plan.
Okay. Now, if somebody wanted to, maybe you kind of, piqued their curiosity and they wanted to look into this, how would they get in touch with you?
So I can be reached via email or a direct office line. My number is 401-233-4799. Or I can be reached via email. It's my name, my initials, C. Rocha, ROCHA, @navigantcu.org. Navigant has a really good website. We have a kind of a contact us that goes right to the business department. So we actually get a lot of people who just go on our website and just fill out that contact form. We get those emails. We all have a day of the week that we man that inbox and we reach out to people. So sometimes you don't know what to say on the phone or who to contact. So I find that that's a great way that people have to reach out to us at Navigant.
Okay, excellent. And so, folks, Claudia, we've been talking to her about her real job, the business stuff, what pays the bills. But then also, she is here to talk about the Cumberland Lincoln Rotary Club, which is, working hard, focused on making a difference. Small group of people that are really working hard, and it's to help students with their summer backpack. And so that summer backpack is going to, have a lot of goodies in it for kids, so they don't have to stay at home on the dog days of summer in front of a digital device or sitting in front of a TV. Maybe they can do something, if it's coloring book, playing with a Rubik's Cube or whatever the games may be, or maybe even go for a walk outside with their friends or whatever it could be. It's tough because, nowadays, many times both parents work, so that means the kids are home during the summer alone. If they're not going to a day camp, it can be a long, boring summer. Well, this might be a way to make a difference. And all you have to do is go to Cumberland Lincoln Rotary Club on Facebook, and there's a link to the Amazon page where you can make a small donation to help buy a small gift that could make a difference in some child's summer. Okay, but that's the first step. So check them out on their Facebook page. Everybody has Facebook now, so it's Cumberland Lincoln Rotary Club. And is there anything else that you'd like to add to that, Claudia? Anything that I missed?
That would be a big help if anyone wants to check that out, because the sponsorship money, we will go out and purchase a lot of those items, but I think it's a quick way for someone who's just, I want to support you, here's $20, what can my $20 do? So they can go on there and do that.
Yeah.
And just, again, the outreach that we're here. We're in Cumberland, we're in Lincoln, we live and work in these towns, and we want to make sure that we're supporting our communities.
Yep. Excellent, excellent. So, folks, you've been listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI 99.9 FM, 1380 on the AM dial. We rebroadcast this show every Saturday at 1 o'clock, so you can catch it again then, or you can tell someone else to listen to it on Saturday. And if you have any questions about real estate, anything we've talked about tonight, my personal business line 401-409-5030, and you can call or text that number, and I'll get right back to you. Or you can look for Claudia. You can go to the navigantcu.org website, okay, for commercial lending to learn more about that and get more information about what would be involved in getting a commercial loan to open a restaurant, to buy a restaurant, to buy a multifamily, 4 or 5 unit property, 6 unit property. That's the place to start for that. Quick shout out to, again, our sponsors, Anthony Betancourt at Compass Title and Escrow, and Christine and Kaylee and Camille. They do a really good job taking care of our clients. They prepare them for the closing. They do an awesome job. Also, Vern Rainville, public insurance adjuster. He is licensed by the state of Rhode Island to be a public insurance adjuster. He has a background in construction, so he knows what he's looking for, and he knows what he's talking about, and most importantly, he knows how to talk to the insurance companies, because he works for you, the property owner, not the insurance company. And of course, G. Metz Moving and Storage. George Metz, he's been on the show, he'll be on the show again. We've talked about the importance of working with, when you hire movers who have guys who work for the moving company. They're not temporary employees. They didn't go on Craigslist this morning to get someone to move your treasured belongings this afternoon. But G. Metz Moving, they are fully licensed, fully insured. They have these big trucks, and then the great, brand new clean quilts, and their uniforms. They look like the cat's meow. They do a really good job. And all you have to do is go to their website, gmetzmoving.com, to check them out. They can move your belongings. They can store your belongings if it's for a day or two or for long term. Let's say you're building a house. It's not going to be done for 6 months. You're going to live with family in the interim. Great. Put all your belongings in storage with G. Metz. They can pack everything up, and they know how to pack it so it can be easily unpacked and put into storage for your benefit. And it's sheltered. It's not like it's outside or anything like this. It's an enclosed, climate-controlled environment. But it's G. Metz Moving and Storage. Check them out. gmetzmoving.com is the website. I'm going to turn the camera around one more time so we can thank Claudia for coming in. And Claudia, if you could make one last pitch to our listeners about the event.
Yes, I would really love for anyone listening to check us out on Facebook. We are the Cumberland Lincoln Rotary Club. We are holding a fundraiser to try to fill 200 backpacks for some middle school students in our towns in need. Really just provide them a backpack full of summer fun. So we have links to Amazon that you can purchase items directly, or we are still accepting sponsors.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for coming into the Joe Luca Real Estate Show, Claudia, and we will hopefully be able to give you some more support. Folks, please stay tuned. Rick Murney is going to be in with the Old Time Preaching Ministry, talking about some good old Bible scripture tonight. Please stay tuned. You're going to learn valuable lessons. I guarantee you that. So thank you very much for tuning in. We will be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel, right here on WNRI. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bye-bye.